Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely profound concept from the new Israelite Christian school of biblical arts. We're talking about the divine extraction of man, literally pulling ourselves out of the terrestrial grid of the fleshly ego and descending straight into the heavenly realm. As you'll see through some incredible analogous indigenous imagery we'll be using, we might be starting our journey down in the dirt, but man, we absolutely aren't staying there.
So here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. Escaping the terrestrial grid. 2. Fracturing the ego. 3. The inverse coordinate system. 4. The harmonic resonance of 24. And 5. Navigating the sacred geography. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Escaping the terrestrial grid, the lineage threshold.
You know, the foundational error of the natural mind is its stubborn determination to just cling to the material vessel. We hold on to the dead roots of physical lineage like it's everything. Historically, we tend to fixate on Abraham, right? But in this specific spiritual framework, he's merely the architectural container. He's just the soil. Then we have Isaac, who represents this passive threshold of submission. But the true breakthrough, that only really manifests when this earthly root system violently snaps at the third generation, with Jacob.
Moving right along, Section 2. Fracturing the individual ego, the Jabbok River transformation.
Let's take a look at the River Jabbok. Now, that famous wrestling match that happens there, it's not just some physical fight. It's actually the divine fracturing of biological lineage itself. On one side, we have Jacob, representing the striving, completely self-reliant individual ego. But once his independent walk is permanently broken, that personal ego just fades away. He scales upward, transforming into Israel. And Israel isn't just one solitary man anymore. It becomes this massive collective organism, a shared spiritual identity that generates the very breath of the Creator. It's a total paradigm shift.
Which brings us to Section 3, the inverse coordinate system, the 3-4-5 to 5-4-3 mirror.
Now, transitioning from biological lineage over to mathematical geometry reveals something pretty wild. The earthly container directly mirrors the heavenly reality. On the earthly side, we've got the coordinate 3, 4, 5. This represents Moshe, or Moses. Fleshly religion gets entirely trapped right here, essentially worshiping physical descent. But the Messiah, he demands a complete inversion to the heavenly coordinate, which is 5, 4, 3. That is, Ehya Asher Ehyeh, I am that I am, the totally uncreated sovereign source.
Think about this. The Messiah completely refused to validate the earthly ego of lineage. He never once leveraged his worldly pedigree. Instead, he anchored himself entirely in the unearthly domain of the Spirit. With that definitive, incredible declaration, before Abraham was, I am, he just completely bypassed the 345 earthly container and spoke directly from the 543 eternal source. It proves without a doubt that no matter how great your earthly resume or pedigree might be, the spiritual law operates on an entirely different level.
All right, Section 4. Harmonic resonance of 24. The math of divine government.
Okay, we're going to slow down our pace just a bit right here because the harmonic alignment of these texts reveals an absolute mathematical masterpiece. Look at John 5:43. Here, we see the rejection of the source. The physical ego actively rejects the selfless authority of the divine name, again that 543 coordinate, and instead it only welcomes the human ego that boasts of its own earthly pedigree.
Now, here is where it gets incredibly fascinating. If we do a mathematical reduction of that baseline earthly rejection, from John chapter 5, verse 43, and simply add 5 plus 4 plus 3, what do we get? We get 12. The mathematical baseline of the physical order.
But wait, it doesn't stop there. Over in John 3:4-5, Christ demands an inversion. Nicodemus is stuck, right? He's viewing reality through the rigid coordinates of the dust, trying to imagine physical birth. But Christ corrects him, stating that the natural birth of water, that 3-4-5 container, absolutely has to be entirely replaced by the unseen power of the Spirit.
And if we mathematically reduce this spiritual rebirth from John 3:4-5, well, 3 plus 4 plus 5 perfectly aligns to give us our spiritual counterpart. Yep, another 12.
So, what does this all mean? When you fuse the baseline of the physical order, that first 12, with its spiritual counterpart through the rebirth of the Spirit, the second 12, you get perfect alignment. This fusion creates the ultimate signature of heavenly rule. It is definitive, undeniable proof that the kingdom simply cannot be inherited by human striving. Because 12 plus 12 gives us 24. That is the completed government of the Almighty.
the 24 orders of the true priesthood. Honestly, it's like the face of a watch finally showing the perfect hour. This math is the ultimate proof that physical pedigree means absolutely zero in the true spiritual kingdom.
Let's head into our final section, Section 5, Navigating the Sacred Geography, the Domains Unearthed.
Having finally extracted ourselves from the terrestrial grid and fractured that stubborn individual ego, we have to map out this brand new territory. We are no longer bound by earthly soil and roots. Instead, we're navigating uncontained atmospheric clouds and wind. The concept of sacred geography teaches us that the kingdom of God isn't some distant physical destination that you can just pack a bag and travel to. Not at all. It is a present, living spiritual atmosphere that you have to resonate with right now.
I'll leave you with this thought to really chew on as we wrap up today's explainer. Have you fully abandoned the terrestrial grid of your earthly pedigree? Are you still holding on to the dead dust of the 345 reflection, or are you actually ready to invert your reality, fuse the coordinates, and step fully into the uncompromised spiritual atmosphere? Because ultimately, the coordinate you choose to live in is entirely up to you. Keep questioning, keep digging, and we'll see you next time.